Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Ken. How's it going?
It's going well, and how's it going to you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for taking some to do this interview.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and great to be able to talk about some brand new music coming out at the end of the month through Napalm Records.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's always, always feels great to release a new album. It kind of sums up two years of hard work. So it's always great when it comes to that point, where the album release is just around the corner, and you can start talking to people about it. You're getting the first feedback and all that. So it's always an exciting time.
Oh, I can imagine so. And I really appreciate what you're doing with this album as well, too. I mean, obviously with 11 albums under your belt under the Sirenia name, I mean, it's just great to see that with every album there's just that great fresh creative feel going behind it. And it's great to see some new exploratory movements that's going on throughout this album too, just being able to spice things up just a little bit more.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, writing this album, and we always try to bring something new, fresh, something a little bit different to the table with every album. We also, focus a bit on, trying to keep the main concept of the band as well. Not stepping too far away from our sound, but yeah, it's always very important for us to bring something new and fresh to the table, as well as a diverse album, that has a little bit of everything in a way.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're showing off your screams, whether there's some blast beats going on, whether it gets a little more poppy. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything. And to me, that makes for a really fun album to listen to from start to finish because you don't, especially that first listen, you really don't know what to expect that first time around.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that, because it's definitely one of those things, that I have very much in mind, when writing an album. And I definitely want it to be something diverse, where there's a little bit of everything. That has kind of been our concept since the very beginning, with all these kind of different sounds and instruments and vocal styles and so on. And so, yes, still after all these albums, it's something that is quite important to us.
So, going into that a little bit deeper, what was it like to start writing for this album?
Yeah, I go at it as I usually do. It's basically I'm never really stopping to write. I'm constantly writing music. Even if I'm also in the process of wrapping up an album, there's always popping brand new ideas into my head, and I need to record that down. And so, I mean, I'm always coming up with new riffs and new ideas and stuff like that. But I mean, as soon as one album is done, then I can, fully focus on the next album. And at the beginning, I kind of, have some ideas, that I like, basic ideas, that some things that I want to do different compared to the previous album normally. And you go at it, and you try to work in this direction, but at some point, you might get other ideas, and you can change course a little bit, and then some songs will take unexpected direction and stuff like that. So you never really know what you will end up with eventually. But usually I have kind of like an idea with what I want to achieve with every album. And for this one, it was really important to me to make like really melodic, catchy songs, and try to experiment a bit with the sounds. We're using a lot of retro sounds on this album, especially with the keyboard work. There's a lot of sounds from 70s, 80s, early 90s, I would say. There's also some typical symphonic stuff, which has also been a very important part of our sound from the very beginning. So yeah, I think that we've been able to implement a little bit of everything with this album. Also trying to keep it very, very melodic and catchy.
Yeah, and I think you absolutely pulled that off on this album. And yeah, whether it's a little more unexpected twists and turns, which you wouldn't expect from the fan perspective, whether it's more the straight ahead moments, those classic moments, I think everything is on that album in strides.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because it's definitely something we've been trying to do as well with this album.
So, You also mentioned that there might be some unexpected twists and turns on your end when it comes into the songwriting. Was there any particular moments or songs or riffs that stand out for this album where that happened?
Um, Yeah, I mean, there was. Have become so terrible with remembering titles on songs, and I got a similar question a little while ago, and I don't have the track list in front of me here, so I didn't have the time to check on that title. But there is one song on the album. Not sure whether it's song number 4 or what's the number of it. Um, that I think has a really cool chorus. It's kind of a bombastic uh, chorus, but the melody is like it's really melodic and everything, and there's like a lot of words and lyrics going into it, so it's moving forward like really fast in a very rhythmical way. So I really enjoyed that part, and I think it came more into life when I started writing the lyrics. Just too bad that I can't remember the title of the song. But yeah, it's a song where Emmanuel, she has I think most of the vocal work for that song, if not everything actually. And that chorus is definitely Emmanuel's parts, you know. And I remember when we were recording that part as well, you know, and putting all the harmonies on top of each other, and we were just smiling to each other, you know, because this feels like something really special.
Yeah, and those are some of the best moments, whether you're writing or recording or whatever that happens when you're coming up with new music. When something unexpected like that happens and you try it out and it really works out for the best, it's just a great moment knowing that something brand new can come into it and just work so very well.
Yeah, that's always a really like great moment when you have those wow moments during the recordings, you know. And we were at this point recording the vocals, and we both really liked the melody, and we expected it to be something cool, you know, but then it kind of just exceeds all the expectations and everything, and kind of turned out a bit different too than we would imagine it to be, you know. And but yeah, we were just looking at each other, smiling and laughing a bit, you know, because we were so happy with the way it turned out in the end.
Yeah, and that's so great to hear that. And yeah, again, just like from my perspective, just being able to hear all of that, hearing these new additions, just it's just so much fun to listen to. And of course, the first two tastes that most people get to hear off this album are the singles that have been released so far. So, what went into choosing these two songs in particular to show off the album?
Yeah, I think both those songs has the like the typical single format, you know, quite short songs, down to the point, very melodic. So it's you know, it's I think good songs to give the fans a taste of what's coming. But yeah, with Sirenia, it's impossible to do that with only a few songs, you know, because I feel every song on the album is something different. So it's hard to also to pick like one or two songs that is supposed to be representative for the entire album. With Sirenia, that's a really hard thing, and not say impossible thing to do. So, but yeah, as single tracks, I think they were definitely the right choices. And we have the third single coming up. I think on the 25th of May, if I remember correctly. That's the third single, which is going to be "Wintry Heart," which is probably a little bit more heavy song again. A bit more metal, more powerful, but also a very melodic song. So also really looking forward to that track coming out.
I'm glad to see that that's going to be a single and getting a video behind that and everything because I think that is one of the more standout tracks to me, and I'm glad to see that it is becoming a single.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And we I obviously did a good choice, I would say. I think with this album, it was for me personally. I think it was quite easy to choose the singles, and whether or not it was the right choices, you know, it remains to see further down the road. But when I presented the choices to Napalm Records, they agreed with me right away. So I think that was kind of also a confirmation that probably it was the good choices. But yeah, we will see. It's always really hard to tell with these things. You only know like maybe a year after or something. When all the fans had the time to check out the album and find their favorites, and when they start listening more to the favorites, then it's really gonna show which which would be the best choices. But yeah, all we got to do is to follow our hearts, and then we will see what happens, how people will react to it as well, whether they share our opinion or if they actually find a different, favorite song on the album.
Oh, for sure. And that always comes with time, but I think it's been excellent choices so far. And with that, I also really appreciate the fact that you did cover Twist My Sobriety, and I really enjoyed the video for that as well too. I had so many smiles and laughs during the video. It just looked like you were having such a great time making that.
Yeah, that was it's probably the nicest time we had making a video. It was such great fun, and a lot of the material was filmed on 70,000 tons of metal and in Miami. So yeah, it was just perfect. It was so much fun doing that video, and we also did the studio recordings. We filmed in Paris, which was also a lot of great fun. Filmed with a great friend of ours who we've been working with quite a bit in the last years. So that was also a very pleasant experience, very relaxed, laid back kind of work. So really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And another aspect of this album I love so much visually is the album cover. I feel it is such a great representation for the album. I really love the use of the colors and how dark the album cover really feels. I think it just fits the album perfectly.
Yeah, I love this guy who made that artwork. He's just an amazing, exceptional artist. Is Gaiola Havansak, artist from Hungary. We've been working with him now for, I believe it's 4, or is it already 5 covers already? So yeah, he's been working with us since the Seventh Life Path album. So yeah, we have a really great cooperation together, and we've been working together for such a long time now that it's very easy to work with him, and he really understands what we are looking for. So it's for me, I just present him with a very simple sketch, and write him a few lines of what I'm thinking, and what we're looking for, and stuff like that, and he starts doing his magic and putting these simple ideas into life. He's always able to come up with something really, really, really exceptional.
Oh, for sure. And of course, it is showcased so very well for the album. And of course, the title of the album as well, with 1977, which of course is an important year for yourself. What went into choosing that for the title of the album?
Yeah, I was thinking a lot for this album. I was thinking a lot to find the right title. Most of the time, the title is something that I come up with, at the very end of the whole process. Basically trying to pick a title that would, sum up the album somehow, or just making sure that it's a title that really fits. And we've been doing on I think the 3 previous albums, these articulations. And my first idea was to continue down that road, and I came up with some ideas, but I felt, yeah, maybe it's time to just to break the habit, so to say, or just come up with something totally different, and that's how I ended up with going for a number instead, just something totally different.
Oh, it's so cool to see that. And again, it's just like all these little changes that consistently happen throughout the band, throughout different lineup changes, different labels, different songwriting ideas. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen, and sometimes even just like a title change that do something different than what you've done previously can really be so beneficial. And I think it works so great for the album, and it gives it such a great personal perspective behind it.
Yeah, I think, and it gives it kind of, it's like its own little identity or personality in a way, so to say. It's what I always try to do with each album, that each and every album is somewhat different than anything else we have released. And yeah, I definitely think that we were able to do that also with this new album.
Oh, for sure. And again, there's so many great things to look forward to on this album. And another great thing that, of course, that's going to be coming along with that is getting to hear these songs live. And of course, you got to do some of that on 70,000 Tons. But I imagine coming up in the future as well, too, that's going to be great as well. Like being able to pick out some songs from this album, and be able to incorporate it into the set list.
Yeah, it's always quite fun, when after releasing a new album and setting up the set list for the first time to put some new tracks on there, of course, and then it gets complicated, when when you start looking at what to do with all the other stuff, because when you're at album number 11, then there's obviously a lot of songs to choose from. So it gets more and more complicated with every album release. We try to make everybody as happy as we possibly can. We try to always pick the most popular songs. So there are some of our songs that are guaranteed a spot on the playlist just because of the popularity of these tracks. And of course, we try to always play some extra tracks from the latest album whenever we're out promoting that album. And for the rest, we try to pick a little bit of everything, some variation from different album, and also a little bit in the style, so that there is hopefully a little bit at least for everybody. But yeah, with 11 albums out, it's hard to make a set list that will make everybody happy, but we do our best, to try to have at least something for everybody.
Oh, for sure. I mean, playing those classic songs, playing the new songs off the album, and it's gonna be exciting to see what you add into the set list from the new album. Because at least from every time that I've gotten the chance to be able to hear this album, it feels like any of these songs would sound fantastic in that live setting.
Yeah, I think the songs are very kind of bombastic and melodic, and yeah, I can also really hear how most of these songs can, yeah, really work well in a concert. So it's going to be really really exciting to start testing them out, and see the response from the audience. And sometimes you make the right choices instantly, and sometimes you maybe try to change some of the songs and see if it's something the audience reacts better to, or whatever. And just, it's always kind of interesting and exciting to work to try and set up the perfect set list in a way, so yeah, that you get that really good energy from the audience throughout the whole set. So it's always very interesting thing, actually, just something as simple as, or as complicated as setting up a set list.
Oh, for sure, because you want to make sure that it flows together well as well, and instead of just like having all the fast songs in the beginning and then everything goes slow at the end. I mean, you want it to have some great peaks and valleys behind it too, so the whole set can be fun to enjoy from start to finish.
Yes, exactly. And building up a climax towards the end, and also, yeah, making sure that you get the right order also with sometimes the BPM can play an important part with the in where you place the songs on the set list. So there's actually, yeah, a lot of things that is worth paying attention to. So but yeah, it's a fun thing to do it. I always thought it was a hassle before, to which songs to choose and all that, but now it's something that I enjoy, actually. And especially right after a new album is out, because then you have to kind of make the biggest changes to the set. And I think it's always exciting to bring in new material on the set.
Oh, for sure. So thinking about that as well too. I mean, of course, with the 26th of May through Napalm Records comes the new album. What are the plans going forward after the release of the album?
We have for now we have something like four summer festivals here in Europe coming up, and we will continue touring Europe in September. and then hopefully just continue in other parts of the world. We are really, excited about touring again as much as possible. With the previous album, it was, the touring aspect was pretty much a disaster, when COVID and lockdown and all this crazy stuff, kind of ruined all our touring plans. But this time, it seems that things will go a lot better again, and it's still there's a lot of COVID aftermath, and there's things are still not as simple as they used to be before COVID, and it seems like the world is heading into another financial crisis as well. So it's kind of hard to predict how the next few years will be, but yeah, it certainly doesn't seem so gloomy for touring as it certainly did a bit earlier. So it seems that we will be able to do a fair amount of touring with this album, which is something we're really looking forward to.
And I'm glad to hear that too, because this is the kind of album that deserves that live promotion. And yeah, like you've mentioned, I mean, over the last few years, it's been kind of scary about what could happen in the live setting and the world around us. But I'm glad at least at this point in time, you are getting that live representation for this album and just being able to get Sirenia back out there again.
Yeah, it feels really nice to be able to travel and playing again. It's something that has been such a big and important part of our lives for such a long time. And I can also imagining for all the fans of metal out there, all of us, loves to go to concerts and sort of social aspect, being out in the town with friends and everything. And I think none of us would actually ever imagine, in our wildest dreams that would be taken away from us for years. So it's just some crazy time that we've been through, and yeah, it feels really really great that finally we are heading back to more normal circumstances again, and we are finally able to, all of us, to do what we love.
Oh, absolutely. So, one last thing I wanted to touch on. You briefly brought it up towards the beginning of this, but I was just wondering about this as well. Like, you mentioned that after everything is done with a current album, you start thinking about the next album. Is that currently still going on now? Do you have ideas for the next album?
Yeah, I already recorded a lot of riffs and like separate ideas, I would say. I didn't get to the point yet where I'm putting together whole songs and stuff like that, but I already got a fair amount of riffs written for the next album. So yeah, I'm looking forward already, to even start writing new material. It's always I think exciting, after an album is fulfilled, and you can kind of start from scratch again, with the next album, and kind of being free to do whatever you want musically and experiment a bit, search for some new inspiring sounds or things like that, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to get started on that. And I have some really cool riffs lying around, so it should get me started fairly easy.
Oh, and that makes me happy to hear too. I mean, as much as I love what I'm hearing with 1977, of course, coming out the 26th of May through Napalm, I'm so excited to see what the next album is going to be bringing, and I'm so happy to hear all of these great things that's happening with the new album. Great reception that I've seen so far to the singles so far, and hopefully with the third single as well. Upcoming festival appearances and touring and whatever else can happen in that time until the next album writing cycle. And I just want to thank you again for taking the time to be able to talk to me about all of this. It was great to be able to get your insight into everything that's going on in the world of Sirenia right now.
Yeah, my pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for supporting Sirenia. We appreciate it a lot.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I've been a huge fan of the band for so very long, and I'm so glad I've gotten to talk to you for the first time, being able to promote this, and hopefully it won't be the last time. When that next album writing cycle happens again, I would love to be able to talk to you again and see what's happened in that time.
Yeah, we got to make that happen.
Oh, for sure. Well, again, I want to thank you again for taking the time to do this. I know it's a busy time with press and getting ready for everything else. So I just want to thank you for your time doing this. I can't wait to show off this interview, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you very much. You too. It was a pleasure talking to you, and talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time. Bye.